Just a backstory why you got into comedy, and just what you want your legacy to be.
I don't talk about none of that, so we can. No, I'm just playing.
What's going on, everybody? You're here on Beyond the Brand on the Gram with Dontaye Carter, and I'm joined now by my man Shuler King. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I feel good.
Fresh off the stage, huh?
Fresh off the stage. Fresh off a good weekend.
Off a good weekend.
Off a good weekend, man. We had packed shows all weekend.
Yeah.
All weekend. I think we have exceeded the expectations of a lot of people this weekend. We have. Yeah. Even myself included.
Man, I was sitting back here in your room and heard everybody laughing.
Right. Well, you know, that's
I couldn't hear you, but I heard everybody laughing.
Yeah, well, we aim to please. We aim to please. That's right. That's right. That's right.
So, you know, I was sitting back and I was thinking back to when we first met.
Right.
And I wasn't too familiar with who you were.
Right.
And you remember that joke you told me?
I don't remember the joke. I don't. You said it was something about weed.
Yeah.
That's.
You was talking about transporting weed. And I'm sitting over here like,
no, this is the thing. This is the thing about it. Like, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a naturally funny guy.
You are.
You know what I'm saying? So if I told you a joke or said something funny about transporting weed, I was talking right off the top of my head. So a lot of times people be like, man, you remember we was sitting at the diner and you said that, and I'm like, I don't remember that. It's just because I was really just talking. Like, this is the way my mind working. It wasn't like a written joke. It was just me running my mouth. Yeah, like, you hang around me long enough, something stupid gonna come out.
But you remember, I was sitting back there quiet for a little minute. I think you realized that, oh, this joker believe me. You came up and my man, I'm a comedian.
Yeah, I think I do remember.
And I was like, oh Lord.
Now that part I remember.
I made it out the hood, and this dude finna get me on some weed charges.
Yeah, you was trying to figure out, how does Mike know this guy? It's like Mike got all these saved people around him, but you got this one dude around here talking about transporting weed. Yeah, okay. And we was all y'all know Jesus. I mean, that's a good thing, all the Mike friends. Thanks, Mike, for bringing another Bible thump around here. Trying my best not to cuss during the interview. Mike know how I am, man, but he even got Jesus' best friend, one of the disciples himself here to do an interview. Thank you.
Baby step, y'all.
Baby step. That's it. They trying to get me into heaven is what you're trying to. I appreciate your effort.
But yeah, Mike's a really good friend of ours. He's into the music, the hip hop scene, producing some hits out here. But man, back to you. So, you know, I was tempted because I was gonna come in here and just call you by your government name. I ain't gonna do you like that.
Don't do that.
But where does Shuler King come from?
Shuler actually is that's the name of the street I grew up on.
Okay.
And you know, everybody know my government anyway. Real name Frank Williams. But the thing about it is that it's so many Williamses in comedy. Yeah. And I didn't want to get lost in the herd. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I had to try to come up with something. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, well, my name of the street I grew up on was Shuler. And, you know, I am a spiritual person. So I said, well, King will be for God. It's not me calling myself King. It's just where I come from and God, and I just put it together. And that's how I came up with the name. So, and the thing about it is that it's a name that I can define. Yeah. If you hear Shuler King, you don't think about anything but me. That's the whole purpose. Like, you hear Pepsi, you don't think about nothing but Pepsi. Coca-Cola the same way, Cadillac the same way, Chevrolet the same way. So it's also a branding thing. You know what I mean?
So you like Malcolm X?
Something like that. Like, it's just, when you hear Malcolm X, you don't think about nothing but Malcolm X. You know what I mean? There's nothing else that, you know, there's no other thing is Shuler King. So that's why, you know, I took that. Yeah. So
how'd you fall into comedy?
Man, believe it or not, I was always funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's somewhat of a long story. I was like a freshman in college. I was like 18, 19 years old. And people just kept saying all my life, man, you need to be a comedian. You need to be a comedian. All this other, all this other stuff. So I was like, I ain't really want to. Yeah. But when I decided that I was going to do it, the opportunity came to me. Yeah. Like, I didn't have to go to it, you know, because there was no comedy clubs where I'm from. You know, I'm from Sumter, South Carolina. There ain't no comedy clubs there. So I was working in part-time at this music store, and this guy came in. I never seen him again. It was a promoter, a comedy promoter named Ike. And he was like, everybody knew him. You know what I mean? All these comedians knew who he was, but I ain't seen him since. Just this one time I met him. Wow. He was promoting the show, and I'll tell you how long ago it was. He had a yellow flyer. It was like the yellow flyer, but it had black writing on it. And it was Barbara Carlisle, Big Kenny, and Sugar Bear was on the show. And he was just handing out flyers. You know, this old school throwback, that hard work, you know, that beat the street, you know, promotion. And, you know, he came in the music store and started promoting the show. And I started asking him a bunch of questions. And I guess I was irritating him because he looked at me and was like, "Are you a comedian?" And before I could say no, the girl I was working with said yes. You know what I mean? She just said, because she was one of the people that kept saying, "You need to be a comedian." So before I could say no, she was like, "Yes." And I was like, well, you know, I'm trying to think about it. So he wrote his number down on the flyer and said, "Well, if you figure out whether you are or not, give me a call and I'll put you on the show." So I was like, and that in itself made me nervous. But I didn't call him that day. I called him the next day, and he was like, "All right, I'll give you 3 minutes." And now, mind you, I done called him and booked the show. I don't have no material. I didn't write. I mean, and then for some reason, once I got off the phone with him, and I think 5 minutes later, I just started writing. Wow. And I just started writing. And when I tell you, I had written down everything I was gonna say verbatim. And you know, we did the show, and I actually did good. And I was nervous as hell. Like, I did not move. Like, I stood perfectly still until told my jokes. Because I was thinking, if I move one step, I'm gonna forget everything that I wrote down. So that was my first show, was at Shaw Air Force Base in Sumter, and that's the story. And ever since then,
you've been rolling.
Yeah. Man. It was a grind. I had to drive an hour, 2 hours, 3, 4 hours, you know, to do open mics. I did open mic for 5 years. Yeah.
Man, I mean, when you think back to where you started, where you are now, I mean, just kind of what comes to mind? Because, I mean, I know it's been a grind, but, you know, you're making moves, you're making headway.
Well, I mean, honestly, I look back a little bit, but I'm looking ahead. Like, I look forward and it's just like, man, we still got a lot of ground to cover. But when I do look back, it's like, man, we've come a long way. Because I come from, you know, a town where there is no comedy club, and there's not even an opportunity for it. You know what I mean? There wasn't when I was there. You know what I mean? Even the Comedy House Theater was 45 minutes away, but I don't think they were open right when I started doing comedy. But even at that, to do open mic, you had to drive 45 minutes. I had to drive 2 hours to Charlotte, 4 hours to Atlanta. You know what I mean? And sometimes in a city like Atlanta, you will put your name on the list, don't mean they're gonna call you. So you drive 4 hours and doesn't mean you still didn't get up, you know what I mean? I drove to New York, I drove to California, so I look back and I think about all of that stuff, and it's like, at the time, a lot of times, certain things felt like it didn't matter or it didn't count. And I look back now, it's like, oh, okay, it counted, yeah.
So, I mean, when you think about where you came from with Sumter, and to see where you are now, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's got to be a lot of folks from your hometown looking like, man, this dude is doing it.
Yeah, well, no, they was, like, before now, they were kind of like, a lot of people like, "Oh man, you out there," and I'm just like, no, I'm just headlining at the Comedy House, you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't, you know, like I said, because I'm always looking forward, even now. You know what I mean? We got a long way to go.
So, but what's forward? Tell us what's forward.
Man,
what's that vision? What's that goal?
Television, movies. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm trying to surpass whatever's beyond Steve and Kevin. You know what I mean? And ultimately, you know, entrepreneurship, man, like, you know, I'm not stupid. You know, like, I know that as well as things are going, one day it's gonna be over. You know what I mean? Whether I don't want to do it no more or they don't want to hear me no more. Yeah. You know what I mean? Eventually this game is gonna be over. So the goal is to save your money and position yourself, you know, put yourself in a good position financially to where I'm not frustrated, you know, and you know, just, you know, I'm irritated if I'm not booked or whatever, you know what I mean, the way I can have more control over my own, you know, my own destiny or what I want to do. If we want to work, we can work, and If I want to stay home and hang out with my wife, I can do that. You know what I mean? She ain't my wife yet, but she will be by the time, you know what I mean?
She's smiling too.
Damn right. Damn right. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, but that's pretty much, you know, what's for it, man. It's television, movies, and, you know, I mean, like, that's what we aspire to do.
Yeah.
But it's really like, so many opportunities come that you really aren't expecting. I mean, I've gotten calls from Hollywood, or, you know what I mean? It's just opportunities that you just got to grab right there, you know. But it's coming, you know what I mean? The big screen is coming, big movies, you know what I mean?
So, I love how forward-thinking you are in terms of knowing that the success won't last and setting yourself up for after. Where did that come from? Is it something that was just always there?
Nah, well,
talking to
I mean, but if you watch every comedian, and you see that, you know, and I'll correct you on one thing.
Okay.
So small things, like I'm not saying that success won't last. I'm saying this form of success won't last.
Gotcha.
Like, you have this incline. If you're lucky, I mean, we can go down the list. You know, Kevin's having his time, Martin had his time, Eddie had his time, Richard has his time. You know, if you're lucky, you get a chance to get in the game, and some of us get to a point where we are it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you are the man for a particular amount of time, and then things just kind of dwindle down. I'd be a fool to think that there's not a young, good-looking, funny, hilarious guy that's working just as hard as I was working, you know what I mean, and he's super hungry. He's coming behind me, and then when he finally breaks, it's like, all right, Shuler, you did a good job, man, but you know, little whoever this guy is, you know what I mean, he's the man we want to see, you know what I mean? So, and that's okay. You know, I mean, whoever that guy is, you know, hell, if I run into him, then I would love to, you know, push him further than wherever I am, you know what I mean?
So, you know, and I'll get ready to wrap this up, but, you know, for the kids out there looking up to you, smiling like, man, one day I can be like Shuler. What do you want to tell them?
Don't be like Shuler. That's the first thing. If you smiling looking at me, no, well, I would say, trust the process. Yeah. And don't ever give up. Don't ever quit. You know what I mean? Because if you fall down and you quit there, well, then you forever be a loser. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've had some rough days. I've had some rough years. Yeah. You know, in this business, I have been. You know, it's been a strain financially. I mean, physically. You know, it's tough, but you have to learn the lessons. And if you hit a brick wall, you fall, get up. Keep moving. That's what I would say. And it doesn't apply to, you know, just comedy, anything. If you want to be an engineer, doctor, lawyer, whatever the case may be, you know this is going to be some rough times. It's not going to be easy, but if this is really in your heart to do, it's in your spirit to do, then keep pressing. You cannot give up no matter what. I'm telling you, I don't care who tell you you're not funny or who tell you not this, you're not that, you're not smart. You have to keep pressing, because I've heard no in 1,000 different languages. You know what I'm saying? I've heard no and you can't, and that don't make sense, because I come from a family business a lot of people don't know, you know, and I don't think you know.
I don't.
You know, that I come from a family business. You know, my family, you know, owns a funeral home. I'm a licensed funeral director and embalmer. Wow. You know what I mean? And my family been in business for 72 years. Wow. You know, and a lot of people, you know, from my hometown, you know, they, not my family particularly, but a lot of people in my hometown, that don't make sense. You need to stick with this, you need to stick with that. And, you know, a lot of people feel like they need to tell you what to do. And it doesn't come from a negative place all the time. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, and this is another piece of advice for anybody listening, some of the biggest mistakes we make is taking bad advice from good people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because somebody that cares about you told you that you needed to quit, or you needed to stop doing this, or, you know what I mean? Like, and there's certain things you got to be careful about what you share with other people, because I remember I was saying something and I was like, man, I got a show to do, and shoot, man, I think I'm coming down with a cold. And he was like, well, you know, that's God's way of telling you that you shouldn't do that. And, you know, that is the worst advice that you could give anybody, that if something becomes difficult, then that's God's way of saying that you're not supposed to do it. That's the worst thing you can do. You know what I mean? Because you got, look back, think about it. It's a good thing Martin Luther King didn't think that. It's a good thing Jesus didn't think that. Or Harriet Tubman, or, you know what I'm saying? If it got difficult, we ain't supposed to be doing this. You know what I mean? So, you know, I would say just keep working and be careful and trust your heart. Yeah, that's what I do.
What's your legacy to be?
Man, shoot, I don't be thinking about that. You know what? Honestly, at the end of the day, I really would just like to be remembered for, you know, just being somebody who actually helped people, not even being funny, because like I'm passionate about helping people. You know what I mean? Like I actually have a drive that I do, you know, when I'm home, and I wanted to like kind of spin it into a nonprofit where I help kids who come to school with, you know, a lot of kids come to school without toiletry items, and you know, some of them don't have clean underwear and socks and things like that, and a lot of people aren't aware of that, you know. So I do a drive and I collect, you know, undergarments and socks and shoes and hats and just whatever for, you know, elementary kids, man. So I mean, helping people is, you know, just my thing, you know what I mean? I'll do that, you know, from till I'm gone, you know what I mean? Just being able to, you know, really not, my success is just one thing, but being able to like open some doors for some people. You know what I mean? It's just because it's a lot of great people out here, you know what I mean? And they need people to just kind of pry open the door.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So if anything, it just say, hey man, that guy, he helped some people. You know what I mean? He really, you know, helped change people's lives. You know, if I could do that, I'm straight.
Boy. Hey man, I appreciate the time. I really do.
All right, man.
Hey y'all, Beyond the Brand on the gram with Dontaye Carter. Peace.
All right.